Please like, subscribe, and be sure to click that bell button for regular and exciting indie film content and your chance to be the first to engage with the Liftoff Global Network of Film Festivals as we embark on launching the careers of the filmmakers of tomorrow.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today we are joined by Connor, our audience choice winner from the Manchester Liftoff Film Festival. I'm Natalie Daniels.
I'm Carolyn.
You may have seen us on the YouTube channel before, but today it's all about Connor and his amazing film, GODSEND. So enough from us. I'm going to hand it straight over to Connor, who is waiting and on screen with us at this moment in time. Connor, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your role in this project and the inspiration behind it.
Hi, my name is Connor Kinsey. I'm based in Manchester, and I'm the writer, director, and producer of GODSEND. It's a low-budget sci-fi set in the southeast of England. Amazing.
So actually, location is something I do really want to get into when we get the film screening. So I'm just going to get it loaded. And as I get it loaded, do you want to tell us why you wanted to make this film?
Yeah, the past projects I worked on were quite thematic. They really, kind of like kitchen sink discussions and themes. The previous one I'd just done was about guardianship over someone who's autistic, which is a quite personal thing for me with my sister. So during the writing of that, which was quite a long, serious process, it was nice to have an outlet that was a lot more just, a bit of fun. I mean, obviously it's quite a serious film, but it wasn't trying to tackle a certain theme.
Yeah, nice. I forgot to mention as we got started, actually, for any of your supporters or anyone here who is joining us in the chat, if you do have any questions for Connor or the Liftoff team, but mainly for Connor, please put them in the chat and we will do our best to answer those as the stream goes on. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where to start. I think we should start at the beginning of this film, because as soon as you press play and as soon as your film starts rolling, it is very clear that the cinematography, art directions and the visuals are phenomenal. So I think we should start with the camera use. Who was your DP and what camera did you use on this?
Yeah, so the DP is Jem Demira. I can put his name down somewhere for people, but look for him. It's CEM. That's how you write it down. He used a Komodo 8K, so red,
yeah,
with
nice.
Canon FD lenses, I believe, and that was a very long discussion about trying to get like a vintage look, with a Soviet look, I suppose, to kind of fit this. Then how to like a jarring kind of dystopian future where everything's kind of rusted and nothing's too precise and clean.
I think you managed that absolutely wonderfully. It was one of the things that really stood out as I was watching your film during the festival, but also recapping it today. I was just like, this is such a nice quality and feel. So I think whatever your goal was, or what your goal was, you massively achieved. So well done on that. Leading on then onto the next part, again with the opening shots, you can instantly see that the art direction and every shot is considered in what you see, especially when we look at the location that you have. So again, who was behind the art direction and how did you come about making those decisions?
Yeah, so a lot of DPs I've worked with, whether it's for work or on shorts and passion projects, they're always telling me that it's actually not about the camera, it's always what's within the frame.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of always stuck to that. I would love to do set dressing or set design myself at some point. So I was just putting the feelers out there for different people who knew set designers who could be free, who had a real like high quality of work and they'd worked on bigger projects, but could, give some time for myself. So for this kind of genre, it just is so key to feel immersed, especially for a film that doesn't have any dialogue really. I think there's 3 lines.
Yeah.
So the world needed to feel like a character rather than just a place. So the set designer is Isabel Baker. I think she's just moved to Canada and doing amazing things there. But we were talking for 2 or 3 months and we were, just going over things and really rewriting bits of the script to fit around like what we could get. Does it fit the locations we had recce'd? And just because that way it wasn't a cool spot, it was a cool spot that felt like it was right and made people feel a certain way.
Yeah, again, like every shot is considered from what we can see, and I just love it. Like, just love every small detail that you put in here. So I think you mentioned something there, that you're working with people that are doing well in the industry already, which really does elevate. And that's a piece of advice that we often give first-time filmmakers. I know that this isn't your first-time project, but it's something that we always say: work with a DP that knows what they're doing and can get that vision and shots that you're looking for, dreaming about. And then also set design, staging, it just really elevates a project and separates it from the amateurs to the professionals. So I'm really happy that you had all of that in the making of your project.
Also, listening to you talk about the project is really exciting for me, because there was something that you just said. It was very simple, but you said that you wanted the location to not just be a place, but to be a character. And so besides my work I do for Liftoff, I also work as an actress. And just the artist in me, hearing you say that, I'm like, yeah, like that's a director I want to work with. And so it's exciting how like you've been finding like really great people to work with, but it's very clear as well, not only in watching your film, but just in hearing you talk, what a professional and artistic like excitement you bring to the project. It's cool.
Yeah, very cool. We just seen the shot of the prosthetics. I think it's literally just on screen as we're talking right now. It is. The makeup as well is really well done. We've seen horrific prosthetics in the past, and I just feel like you nailed this. It wasn't too much, it wasn't underdone either. It was just right for what you were trying to show. Who was your makeup artist?
So she literally goes by the name of Ray. She's actually a friend who I was living with. She basically became a housemate of mine in Brighton when I started putting this project together. And she was a makeup artist, but not for film or TV. And once again, I was in local groups just trying to get people together, show them this big Bible. I think it was about 158 pages, this Bible I'd created of everything I wanted to do. So that way people, who are way above me or people just starting out could look at it and really understand, like, I was really wanting to make this, and every question they could possibly ask could hopefully be answered, at least like through tone. I managed to get hold of Ray and tell her the project, and then luckily she moved in with me a couple of months later, and we had a lot of free time most evenings, all weekends, going on locations and looking at how prosthetics could work based on the fact that we're so remote in every location. I think the closest place we are to civilization is maybe 2 hours away at one point.
Oh, wow.
So we really needed to make sure that she could get the best out of her work and what we could get hold of in terms of products, and that people were safe when they were using it. You don't want them to turn up and they've never been tested with this kind of work. And so she really opened my eyes to that. I'm usually good with that stuff, just with common sense, but when it comes to prosthetics and makeup, I'd never gone near it. So hopefully she's watching this, because I don't thank her enough. So
So outside, the credits have just come up, so we will be transferring onto a wide screen of us chatting again. But considering we can still see the actors on the YouTube stream, I just wanted to ask about casting and your casting process, because like you said, there isn't much dialogue, so all of it is down to facial expressions and the body's emotions.
Yeah.
How did you find your actors, and what rehearsal period did you have with them, or how did you rehearse with them?
So the McCady, the lead actor there, we knew each other through friends. With actors I'd worked on my previous projects, which we'll get back to, because that also is one of the people that is the child in the film. But yeah, McCady, someone a friend of mine who's an actor recommended me and said, from the description you've written in the script, this is the person you're going to want to work with. And she was absolutely lovely and really understood what I was trying to get across. A lot of the films I watch, I write a lot of dialogue. Like, that's my screenwriting is my passion. But I feel like good films are like good lighting when you don't actually notice it. And so to me, a lot of what people say, if they're not saying a lot, means a lot more. So I spend a lot of time like really understanding blocking and trying to get that across in the screenplay. And McKady just got that from the get-go. I mean, she's doing like amazing things every day. Like there's all sorts of projects she's on, but I was quite lucky to kind of get her at the beginning of doing short films. And yeah, she's just very passionate about everything she does. So once again, very lucky to have had her, and her just really literally read between the lines and understand that a lot of it will be responding to sound design that's not there yet, but having time to just go over that. So we blocked a lot on the for each scene when we were there, but we couldn't do much outside of that in advance because we weren't in those locations. So it really relied on everyone kind of having the same vision and understanding what we were trying to like what was to be interpreted.
Sure. Yeah, great. Like I said, amazing performances across the board. Cool. So I want to. We've talked a lot about all the positives that happened on the shoot, but I'm pretty sure there would have been some hiccups along the way. So as a learning curve, I guess, what were some of these hurdles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, so before I made this film, I'd worked with the same crew for the 3 years I was making films beforehand. We'd all met through university, which is a blessing to have gained people who want to do the same things as you. But with like kind of COVID happening and people kind of moving apart, because it's been like 3 or 4 years, people's lives go on. Even though we had started the project together, I began it with a full crew. And before we even got midway through pre-production, I didn't have a single person I'd worked with beforehand. So I went from about 13 people who I'm used to working with to every single person being somebody I don't know. And that was, this is the biggest project that I've done. And to not have people, supportive people in terms of who you already know and trying to understand the same language could be quite difficult. But hence why I had people such as Isabel or Jem or Matt, who is the sound guy. They had worked on bigger things and they had time. And once I'd sent them this massive Bible, I would definitely recommend people to do that. Like, I'm really not a filmmaker that has a lot of money to work with or people contacts, but I just put in a lot of time to show them that I really did care about the project. So I hope that's what sold it. I don't know. Yeah, so that was it. It was kind of like starting from scratch with people and having to resell an idea of why people should do it, especially when they're a lot better than me, so a lot more experienced. So, but that brought new pros because I learned so much, and I think the film was a lot better because of it.
No, and you touched upon something which I didn't talk about in my notes earlier, but we were saying as we were prepping the stream today, because the audience don't get to see the film or with the sound. Yeah. And the sound design from start to finish is just so fitting. It's really, really well done. So I assume that this was composed by, did you mention Matt? Was it Matt that you said?
Matt Wilkinson is the guy who operated on the day. He was the sound guy on the day. And a friend of mine, Cameron, he did the sound design, but he collaborated with another composer who's actually from a Manchester Filmmakers group. Who I basically just put in there. I've just moved to Manchester. I've got this film I'm in post-production on, and I really want to find someone who could just work on it from scratch. And once again, sent this massive Bible over that had multiple pages of references and really getting the tone across. Basically a good friend now, James, he just got it. He just sent me like 10 seconds of an idea, and he understood everything that I spent 6 months trying to find a composer that understood what I was trying to do. People were either really trying to hit like the tropes of like this horror thriller, which was too much given like the production we had done. It does have to hit those tropes, but it doesn't need to outright go, oh, this is what this is. I wanted people to feel uneasy rather than know what they're watching. So all of those three together kind of put this world in. And most of the script actually was sound direction rather than like blocking or dialogue, because there isn't any. A lot of it was like, this is how you'll react based on this sound. So everyone kind of was on board from the beginning.
Yeah, no. It's
Can
really
you
cool.
can you talk just a little bit more about your Bible? It just sounds so key to this project happening with such success. And so, how long did you spend putting it together? And can you maybe talk a little bit about your favorite aspects of the Bible itself, if you can talk about that?
Yeah, so originally I made this piece because I'd made 3 or 4 short films at that point, and I wanted to make like a web series. So this is essentially like a pilot to a web series.
Perfect.
Oh.
And the original, hence why it ends where it does. And the idea is, as people will know, if they're watching like with shorts, there's no money to be made, but the idea is it's usually a proof of concept or to show the skills you can bring to the table. So the others I had made were just that. They were just short films, and this, I wanted to make a web series. So this is actually an hour long, and I've just done the first 10 minutes, a minute, page a minute. And I've written all 6. I wrote all 6. And the Bible has every single character, every location, everyone's kind of wants and needs, and how it would go for an entire season. And if they exist still, how they would go into a second season. So anyone going into that, they're gonna join this film to, work on a 7-minute project, knowing that there's a whole other, as an actor, that you kind of don't want to know, where were they before this? Well, I was giving the whole cast and crew what people were doing after. So that really helped people know where, like, the kind of like the light of the tunnel, like the end goal.
Yeah.
So with all of that in mind, how is the project doing? Have you managed to set up meetings with sales agents, distributors, in order to get the Bible seen by the right people and get producers on board? What stage are you at now?
So we finished production, and then we decided to hit the festival scene. So it took around a year in post-production to find a composer that was right, to get it into festivals, because you book them, but then you're waiting to hear back for a long time. We still are on a lot of festivals. So I think it's kind of then, and maybe someone sees it, or there's a contact out there, because I don't have any of the means to do that, so I really am starting from the ground up with like what I want to do in my career. It's not that I have friends to ask or a budget. So yeah, 0 right now.
So there's a couple of things I think you could start looking at. Do you know the YouTube channel Dusk?
Yes, so I have seen that, but yeah.
So I obviously they have huge demand on projects that they're screening as well. But if you manage to get onto a platform like that, Dusk is sci-fi, and then you have Alta for horror. I feel like you could maybe get into both, but probably more the sci-fi angle than the horror. I think if you can get your project on there, then it's going to get into the hundreds of thousands of views. And if you manage to get that data behind your project, when you do start to approach producers, sales agents, distributors, or when you're pitching, you have the data behind you, which will really help. So don't think, okay, the festival circuit's come to an end, what do I do now? Try and get it onto one of those platforms. There's several, hundreds probably, on YouTube with various different levels, but look at the top tier ones and see if there's anything there. A lot of films have been made from being on YouTube channels as proof of concepts, and someone else has come on board as a producer or as a sales agent and made that project happen and taken to the next stages. So that's something.
I've seen them, but
the other thing is to look at projects that are similar to yours, go onto IMDb Pro, find out who the sales agents, distributors, or producers are behind that, and start creating your database. I feel like you'll be good at this, considering your Bible's like hundreds of pages.
I'm pretty thorough.
So if you were on IMDb Pro, you could look at all of the films that you think are similar, find out that information, get a tab for producers, get a tab for distributors and sales agents, and then you can find that information. Once you have the information of the companies that you want to work with or approach, there's a platform called Cinando. It's spelled Cinando. And this is where all sales agents and distributors live. Have you heard of it before?
I've not, but gathering this is recorded, that would be great.
So Cinando is a place, if you attend a film market, it's where you can set up your meetings. And outside of film markets, you can approach them for meetings. So once you have ideally a producer on board, so you're not unsolicited, you come through a solicited material, which helps. You can start setting up the meetings with the people that you have align with their ethos and the projects that they are selling or have sold. And that's how you start to build your kind of outreach and start getting those meetings. And some of the times you won't be right for them, and they'll tell you, what else do you have? So if you have other things going on as well in the similar vein, great. And if not, just start building your network of people that you can rely on. So yeah, that's the next stages, in my opinion, but so much easier said than done. So yeah.
But listening to you talk, I think you're going to make it happen. You've already built this network. You just talked about how you lost your whole team from people moving away, and then you rebuilt it and made this great film. So yeah, you know how to make all this happen. Just give yourself the time to.
Exactly. So I think moving on now, as we come to kind of rounding up the interview, I just want to find out a little bit more about you and why you wanted to get in the industry in the first place.
Yeah, I'm quite I'm mostly, my profession is in writing. I mean, my actual job is in videography, ironically, but writing is my thing, and that was kind of where I wanted to go. Accidentally kind of fell into directing and writing at uni, but I already studied humans a lot. I always kind of have like an anthropological approach to writing.
Nice.
So I felt directing was quite easy because I already studied people. And so it was easier when you're studying people who are trying to be something else you've seen. So I fell into that quite easily. And then producing, every film I've made, unfortunately, a producer has kind of got on board, realized what it would take, which sometimes isn't a lot at all, and sometimes it's massive like this. And including this, every producer has gone, I'm good, thanks, after just a couple of months. So I've ended up doing all three. So it'd be lovely to do more and, further my career just doing the writing or directing or less of the budget stuff and trying to get people in the right place and feed them, and more getting the picture in the can. So
yeah, I think you've just hit the nail on the head with well, you didn't say it in these words, but the intention was there, I believe. The key to independent film is getting people that are just as passionate about your project as you are. And if you don't have that team, you're going to have to pick up the slack and do a lot of things yourself, wear all the hats. So welcome to the true independent world of filmmaking. So yeah. No, great. And we spoke about this before jumping on the stream, but I didn't find out what your answer was. What is your favourite film?
My favourite film is There Will Be Blood by Thomas Anderson. Cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Which is a lot of not all the references. I mean, I have about 40 pages of references in this Bible, but There Will Be Blood, it just does an amazing job of making people feel very small in massive open space. A lot of the close-ups are uncomfortably tight on people's hands, and most of the tone of GODSEND, it's not giving you information, and that's the point. Is that you're not uneasy in what you see, you're uneasy in what you're not seeing, and you're really relying on McKaylee's face, or kind of just looking at a flower, why does that mean something? Do you still feel a bit unnerved? And I get that from that film, and it's been my favorite film since it came out. So about, it was 16 years or so.
Probably, yeah. Wow. Good answer, though. What's your favourite film?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot like that.
This is the reaction I was talking about.
Oh, my goodness. You know what popped into my head immediately?
Well, then say it.
Was Emperor's New Groove. I think the comedy in that is brilliant. It's brilliant.
I might have to change my opinion now.
Yeah, now that you had it, doesn't need to be as serious, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
What's yours?
I think mine's a film that it maybe isn't necessarily my favorite, but one that sticks in mind a lot and made me want to get into this industry was A Fish Called Wanda. You know, a John Cleese comedy, fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. Add it to your list.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, it's just silly and fun, and they're the type of films that I want to make. So yeah. Cool. So the final question before we do wrap up is, what is next for you, apart from creating this concept into the TV or into the series? Do you have anything else on your plate right now?
I'm writing features and pilots all the time. So the piece I've written recently is just another short film. I didn't think I'd make another short film, but it's just kind of a one location. People just kind of I would hopefully be like applying for BFI funding.
Nice.
And it's kind of like Royal Family, you know, the English like 90s kind of sitcom. And yeah, it would just be kind of people getting over like their grandma's death. And I kind of really want to, once again, it's very anthropological, like people's opinions. And, you know, the actress on her deathbed says nothing, but you kind of get her entire life through these people who are kind of a bit bitter that she's done well. Or so that's what I'm writing at the moment, and just kind of going over it and over it. But I'm always writing features and stuff. So hopefully something will come up that someone likes and wants to make something of it.
Amazing. Sounds great. Thank you so much for joining us on today's call, and thank you for those that have been watching live. There's been a solid number in there from the beginning, so thank you. Connor, it was absolutely lovely getting to know you, getting to know the project, and understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve within the industry as well. So good luck with everything. Do stay in touch.
Thanks, Connor.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. All good.